14 years ago, Satoshi Nakamoto published a white paper and pushed some code that would change the world forever. The Bitcoin code was published and it was off to a great start. But somewhere along the lines, the vision that Satoshi had of a peer-to-peer electronic digital cash were crushed by the developers who took Bitcoin core code over and decided to keep it restricted, keep it bound, and try to centralize the process of a payment network on top. Today, we have Satoshi's vision that has come to life. So today, we're here to talk about KASPA, its founder, and it's Satoshi's vision about to come back to life, and why I believe that getting KASPA today could be like buying Bitcoin well under $100. All right, guys, if that sounds good to you, like the video. If you're new to my channel, what's up? My name is Kyle Chasse. I've been in crypto for 12 years, bringing you guys everything that I've learned along the way and preparing you to join me in making one hell of life-changing gains in this upcoming super cycle of a lifetime. All right, guys, let's dive into it. So first thing we're going to do is come over here and look at KASPA. So you guys have been asking me for this for a while, right? KASPA, Kyle, look at KASPA, look at KASPA. And then, okay, look, first of all, if you guys are going to ask me to look at a coin or something, tell me why. Because if you just go in the comments on my Twitter or on my YouTube and just type in some coin and you don't tell me why, I'm going to think it's a bot, right? Because I get lots of bots in the comments. But if you were to say, Kyle, I think that you should have a look at KASPA because it's in line with Satoshi Nakamoto's original vision. It's been 14 years since Bitcoin was published. There's been very little to almost no improvement on the core code. And the developers and founders of KASPA have built upon Satoshi's vision using the same core fundamentals and concepts to create a peer-to-peer digital cash that solves a blockchain trilemma, solving for security, speed, and decentralization. If you would have commented that, I would have definitely looked into it. So in the future, you know how to get my attention. Let me know about the things that are important here when you ask me to look into something. Finally, I looked into KASPA, and immediately I went out and I told you the video yesterday that I was hoping that when it got listed for Binance Futures, it would have a big correction. And it probably wasn't because of the futures, but the market turned red today. It dropped about 20% from all-time highs. And I bought a big bag of it because I do believe that even though today it sits at a $2.6 billion market cap, I do firmly believe there is huge upside in this project, much greater than any other project we talked about so far, because it's solving one of the core fundamental problems that this world has. We don't have a global peer-to-peer electronic cash. Bitcoin, because of the small blocks, and that's a bit technical, but somewhere along the way, there was a group of people that decided to change Bitcoin's narrative from a peer-to-peer electronic cash to a digital gold. At least it became that. But it's left me frustrated all this time, wondering, will we ever have a worldwide, permissionless, censorship-resistant, decentralized, peer-to-peer cash? And little did I know, all this time I've been wondering about it, it was released in November 2021. So let's get into what is KASPA, and I'll get into a little bit about the conspiracy theory behind its founders and why there's some links to Satoshi, some good points, some very far-reaching points, and then I will also show you how I came up with this potential price of what KASPA could be in the coming years ahead. So KASPA, and I did a lot of research on this, right? And I do usually do a lot of research before I go into something, and I'm probably going to continue to do more research before I go in even heavier. But I decided to keep this video pretty high level because it gets quite technical. So I wanted to make it easily digestible for you guys at home to be able to understand what is KASPA. So KASPA is the fastest open source, decentralized, fully scalable layer 1 in the world. It's the world's first block DAG, a digital ledger enabling parallel blocks and instant transaction confirmation, built on a robust proof-of-work engine with rapid single-second block intervals, built by industry pioneers, led by the people. So KASPA, if you, sorry, I don't know if you guys saw that, but anyway, I wasn't sure if I was sharing my screen. Hopefully now you can see it. It doesn't matter, just reading off the screen anyway. So what is KASPA? Here you go. So what's important to look at here, guys, is this diagram here. And if you look at Bitcoin, they call it a blockchain because it looks literally like a chain link, like a chain, right? It's got a block connected to another block, connected to another block in a very linear fashion, right? Block by block by block. Now, as you can see on my screen here, as you can see on my screen here, this is what a DAG looks like. A DAG stands for a decentralized, what is it? A decentralized, a acyclic graph. And you can see here, it goes, so you have the main block in the middle, right? This is block by block, but you have all these other blocks that can form where in a Bitcoin blockchain or Ethereum before it was switched to proof of stake, these blocks that come on the outside of the DAG or the blockchain over here would be called orphan blocks. And historically, these orphan blocks that don't fall in line immediately can be cause for problem in traditional blockchains. But in the DAG structure, the DAG algorithm is able to order those blocks in a proper format to where it does build a proper chain of events that happens. And that's, yeah, so that's exactly what it is. Again, I wish that somebody would have brought this to my attention back on November 7th. You know, I regret not mining Bitcoin back when I first found out about it in 2012. At least I bought a bunch of it, but I'll tell you too at the end of the video that I'm definitely considering mining KASPA, and I have to do a little bit more work into it, but I think it could be really, really interesting. So you can see that you could use different wallets. So I bought mine on KuCoin, the exchange today, and I'm going to, you know, I don't leave your money on exchanges, not your keys, not your crypto. So I bought on KuCoin. I still have to download the wallet. I will download the wallet. And I can see that right now that you don't have Ledger or Trezor to store it on. So I might actually buy one of these Tangem, which is another hardware wallet, just so I can secure it, you know, store it securely. Because, you know, the price prediction I'm about to make in a bit, guys, if the price goes to where it potentially could, based off of some very simple logic, then what I bought today would be worth tens of millions of dollars in the future. And you want to keep that safe, right? So whatever you do, and we'll get into what those calculations look like. But you can see the key features here of KASPA. So fastest transactions. KASPA's block DAG network generates multiple blocks every second for posting transactions to the ledger, combined with fully confirmed transactions in 10 seconds. This makes KASPA ideal for everyday transactions. So that's the speed of it. So multiple blocks every second can run in parallel. Instant confirmation. KASPA was designed to be hundreds of times faster than Bitcoin, with each KASPA transaction visible to the network in 1 second and each transaction fully confirmed in 10 seconds on average. So what does that mean? So propagating a transaction on the network versus confirmation are two separate things. So in Bitcoin right now, depending on the wallet that you use, if I send you Bitcoin, it propagates the message to the network, meaning that the wallet will say, hey, Kyle sent, you know, Zoe a Bitcoin or whatever, right? And instantly that message goes out to the network, but there's no confirmation, there's no finality. So confirmation can only happen after the first block is mined where my transaction is put in Bitcoin. And so that takes generally 10 minutes. And if it's a large value transaction, so that means within 10 minutes, if I go meet you to buy, you know, something off of you, let's say I go buy a watch off you or something, right? And I buy it with a Bitcoin, you really shouldn't leave that person giving them your watch until the confirmation has happened, until that block is secured in the Bitcoin blockchain. But if it's a very high value transaction, it's still possible on certain manipulation or attacks to the network to reorder blocks in Bitcoin. And so you really, if it's a high value, this best standard practice is to wait 6 blocks or an hour to have full verification and confirmation that the funds cannot be, you know, manipulated at all. That's just not going to work in any day and age, especially in 2023, right? So here we have confirmation, full confirmation in just 10 seconds, but you have the propagation or the first the first confirm is just 1 second. So I go to pay, and it's like almost no gas fees, right? Very, very cheap fees. So I go to pay for coffee, tap my, scan QR code, and within 1 second, boop, paid for. And if it's a very expensive cup of coffee with diamonds and gold in it, then maybe they should wait 10 seconds to make sure that it's 100% verified. I don't know if you ever, when you scan a credit card, that takes like 3 to 5 seconds already. So for most transactions in the world, 1 second is faster than even credit cards. And for full confirmation, 10 seconds. If it's a high value transaction, you can wait 10 seconds. That's pretty good. Scalability, very, very scalable, obviously. So efficient proof of work. So because of the kind of algorithm that they're using, it's called K-heavy hash algorithm. It replaces the SHA-256 that's in Bitcoin. Very technical, I know. It doesn't really matter. But the kind of algorithm that they're using is more efficient, which means it uses less hash power. And so this argument that Bitcoin is very bad for the environment and blah, 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 this also addresses that issue, making it much more efficient, meaning that you can secure the network with far less energy being consumed from the planet, which also means that's good for you if you are going to mine this thing, that you won't have to be spending so much money on mining electricity. So it uses the same kind of security proof of work that Bitcoin does, which really, really like it. And the block DAG uses DAG, which is this kind of tree structure that is, people have been trying to figure this out for a very, very, very long time. And here's the different exchanges that you can buy it on right now, guys. KuCoin, MEXC, CoinEx, Gate, etc., etc. And they listed Binance Futures today. I imagine that Binance will probably list this as a spot product pretty soon as well. So about KASPA, KASPA is the fastest and most scalable instant confirmation transaction layer ever built on proof of work engine. Transactions sent to miners can be included immediately in the ledger, which is structured as a revolutionary block DAG. KASPA is based on the GHOSTDAG Phantom protocol, a scalable generalization of the Nakamoto consensus. That is the Bitcoin consensus algorithm. Its design is faithful to principles of Satoshi embedded in Bitcoin proof of work mining UTXO transactions. UTXO are quite unique to proof of work, and Bitcoin, it's the way that accounts and transactions are ordered within the network. It's an interesting form of accounting. We don't need to go into it. It's a bit too technical. So the most important thing here is that we've always talked about this blockchain trilemma. And everyone has always said that up until today, you have, there's 3 different major pillars of blockchain. You've got speed, decentralization, and security. And you can have 2 of those, but you can't have 3 so far. KASPA is claiming to have solved all 3 of them. I already went over the features for you guys. This is interesting. So KASPA's vision. The vision behind this project is to build a Nakamoto-like service that operates as fast as internet speed allows. We wanted to build a system that surpasses the limits of Satoshi's V1 protocol, yet adheres to the same principles embedded in Bitcoin. Contrary to Satoshi's vision, Bitcoin did not become a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Instead, it is solidifying the ultimate store of value, or e-gold, and that's pretty much it from the Bitcoin side. This is not a mild achievement by any measure. It is one of the most important financial revolutions in human history, yet it leaves a lot of room for improvement of L1 and or for choosing different trade-offs for L1. So this is exactly what I was saying in the intro, it was like literally, so I don't know if you guys know who Roger Ver is. He was the Bitcoin Jesus. I ran into him about 5 or 6 weeks ago when I was in Monaco, and we had this exact same discussion. Like, back in, I forget the year it was. I think it was like 2016, 17, 18, something like that. There was what's called the big block versus small block debate. And so when Bitcoin produces a block, that block has a limit or a size limit, right? And I think right now it's like 1 megabyte limit. And so that means that all the transactions that happen that cannot fit in that 1 megabyte of data have to sit in what's called a mempool over here. And it's just a mempool. That mempool, when Bitcoin's very busy, can get backed up for a long time. And you have all these transactions waiting to be processed. And what was proposed was to increase the size of the block from 1 megabyte to 2 megabytes. There were some people who said you should do it dynamic, so the block should be as big as it needs to be, every block, to fit all the transactions in the block. And the main contributors are people who are now controlling, this is a little bit conspiratorial here, controlling a lot of the Bitcoin code. they were pressing to keep the blocks small. And their argument was that if the blocks get too big, that's too much data. And if you're running a Bitcoin validator, if you're becoming a validator, you're actually validating transactions in the Bitcoin blockchain, which anyone can do. Then their argument was if the blocks get too big and you've got blocks from the entire, because in order to run a validator and to validate blocks, you have to download the entire history of the Bitcoin blockchain, right? And if it's if the block happens every 10 minutes and every block is 10 megabytes, and then you go all the way back to the very 2009 when Bitcoin was launched, that can get like a lot of data, right? I think right now the whole size of the Bitcoin blockchain is like, some gigabytes. I don't know, 2, 4, 5 gigabytes, something like that. But the argument was that if you allow bigger blocks, it would be too expensive for the average person to run a validator, therefore increasing the centralization of Bitcoin. But that argument was a long time ago. Now storage has gotten cheaper, and we know that most people can afford like a 3 or 4 terabyte hard drive to run the entire block, even if it was bigger. So I think it was a BS excuse. But anyway, the point is that that's what happened with Bitcoin and Satoshi's vision of a peer-to-peer electronic cash. That was shooting for the sun, and instead we landed on the moon with e-gold, which is still great. It's still a world reserve currency. So I want to go to this now. For KASPA, we look to silver, which presented in a different trade-off versus gold. In the original Aramaic text, silver was historically, and so KASPA means silver in Aramaic, whatever this is, was historically treated as less precious than gold, but more circulative, less valuable, yet more acceptable as a payment. With this prospect, we call this project KASPA, the Aramaic word for silver and money. So they're trying to be exactly that, like what silver was back in the day, a form of money, less valuable than gold, but circulatory, meaning that people would spend it because it's cheap and fast and not so valuable to carry on you. Sounds like a lot like a currency. So just like Bitcoin, the tokens are mined. There was no private sale, no pre-sale, no founders tokens, no nothing. Just like Bitcoin, the protocol turned on, miners kicked in, and if you were mining this thing in the early days, congratulations, you are now rich. I'm sure the founders were mining them themselves. Someone had to mine it in the early days. And right now there's 21 billion out of 28 million tokens that have been mined. It's about 75% of the supply. What I'm interested in here, guys, is that if you look here, we're about 21. So we have about 21 billion tokens right here. So we're right here, right? We're almost exactly 2 years since KASPA's launch. This is why I'm considering mining this. And I suggest you to look into, just go on YouTube, KASPA mining, and check out some of the videos, because you can make some really good money, I believe, here. It's not dominated by huge enterprises like Bitcoin is that are spending $100 million, $500 million, $1 billion on mining equipment. You can't compete with that. But I've seen videos now where people are mining KASPA on their own, because there's a block reward every second. It's pretty well distributed, so you can join a pool or you can do it yourself. I think I'm going to, because I kicked myself in the butt before for not mining Bitcoin. And I'll tell you why. I got into Bitcoin anywhere from between $80 to $500. And if I would have started mining Bitcoin then, I was even in Bitcoin before they started using graphics cards or GPUs to mine Bitcoin. It was just when people were using their CPUs, their laptops with no graphics cards. It's crazy, right? But looking back, I wish I would have started mining aggressively back in the very, very, very beginning. It would have been insane. Well, like in the intro and on the title of this video, I do believe that where we are today in Bitcoin's life is kind of where we were, for me, back when I started being Bitcoin, but where KASPA is today. Now you're going to say, Kyle, that's crazy. KASPA's at a $2.6 billion market cap. I know. But let me show you in just a minute how much I believe it can appreciate from here, because this is a serious project. Another thing that they're going to do as well is the developers are still working on this. So it's not like, so there is some risk here. There's some risk that it could go down. They could try to update it, and that it could be, that there could be a problem. But one of the things that they want to do, where is it? Let me just find it real quick, is Okay, I can't find it right now, but basically they want to do layer 2s. So they're going to keep the layer 1, what's existing right now, strictly as a form of currency, right? That's it. But they do have in mind to move forward and build it in a structure where people can build roll-ups or layer 2s on top of KASPA. So it's kind of just getting started. I believe that just as a peer-to-peer digital cash, it has a lot of value and can solve solve for the thing that Bitcoin wasn't able to do. But it can even get more crazy if it does become, on top of that, the infrastructure layer for layer 2s to build smart contracts and applications on top of it. Because why wouldn't you want your ultimate security to lie on the back of a proof of work, very secure? And man, I'll tell you what, I was not a fan of Ethereum moving from proof of work to proof of stake. Right now, Lido has a huge amount of Ethereum staked. One entity has like 31% of the Ethereum supply at its disposal. If Lido were to be a bad actor, it could basically attack the Ethereum network right now. It just needs a little bit more. And I made a video before, like a year ago, when it was switching to proof of stake, how somebody, a bad actor, could manipulate things and become, and literally attack the Ethereum network. I did make the video on it. It's back in the history. You can go search for it. I don't know how to tell you to find it. I don't remember the title or anything like that, but it's true. So a little bit about the founders here. You have Yonatan Sompolinsky, and he is a complete OG. He was back, doing stuff in 2013. He was part of the first guy, also with his professor, Viv. They did the first security audit on Bitcoin's code, and they've been cited in a bunch of different research papers as well. So the team, the founders, Aviv and Yonatan, are one of the earliest crypto developers and crypto OGs working on Bitcoin's consensus back in 2010. I don't know if that's actually true. I don't think they were. I haven't seen that. No, I don't think so. But he did create the Ghost Spectrum. This is basically an evolution of the consensus that is being used for KASPA right now. It was also cited in the different white papers for Ethereum, DOT, IOTA, and AVAX. So when these guys, founders, wrote their white papers for Ethereum, for Polkadot, for IOTA, and AVAX, they cited Yonatan. And so he was very, very early. Now, there's also this conspiracy going around, and I will link this thread in the description below. It's far-reaching, but there's some funny points to it, and nobody knows who Satoshi is. So in this thread, there's a lot of different things. Like for example, on his X account, it says a real imposter. This guy's saying a real imposter could he have been impostoring somebody else before, aka Satoshi. And there's some good points in here, and there's some very far-reaching points in here that, like this one says, that basically the last time Satoshi was on the Bitcoin Talk Forum when he disappeared, basically it was December 13th, 2010, the same month and year when Yonatan got on Twitter. So they're saying that maybe, Satoshi could have decided to peace out from his pseudonym Satoshi, and then come out in real life under his real name on a different, social media platform like Twitter. So yeah, I'll let you guys go through this. I'm not saying it's ridiculous. There's actually even some decent points in here. But the point I would take away from this is more that he is an OG, went to Harvard, PhD, and has been working on blockchain and solving this. He's been thinking about how to build this thing since 2013, essentially, different consensuses, the problems of Bitcoin, and eventually finally launched this thing in 2021. So let's get into this. So KASPA right now has a fully diluted market cap of $2.6 billion. Excuse me. Since they're talking about silver, and I thought it was a lot of people would just say, Kyle, you're absolutely crazy if you think that, that KASPA will actually, overtake Bitcoin. Although it could, Because if it was actually a global world reserve currency that the entire world used as a peer-to-peer digital cash, maybe one day, I know like you guys can't wrap your head around most of that, but like this is what I've been thinking about the entire time since 2012. What if Bitcoin became a world reserve currency? And now we're seeing it become a world reserve gold for real. It's actually happening. The peer-to-peer currency needs to happen, right? But let's just be more conservative. Let's take silver, global market cap of 1,344 trillion. That's billion, trillion, divided by 2.6 billion, the market cap of KASPA, equals 516 or 517x, meaning that from where it is today to get to silver's market cap, I don't think it's going to do it this bull run, right? It needs to be like people need to get comfortable with it. But I'll tell you what, it'll take a lot less time for people to get comfortable with things today than it did for Bitcoin, because Bitcoin had to go through this entire struggle of people understanding and getting scared and fighting it and blah, 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 blah. Today, people understand. They understand decentralized coins. They understand Bitcoin. So the adoption cycle could be way faster if this actually were to be adopted than it took Bitcoin. So maybe even possibly, and shoot, at the rate that KASPA is growing, even by potentially next bull run. So 517 times to get to silver's market cap. And I do believe that gold will surpass Bitcoin will surpass gold's market cap of 13 trillion. I believe that. I truly believe that. So how do I get this number? So if it's 517 and Bitcoin X, as Bitcoin is at $36,500 today, divided by 517 gives you a Bitcoin price of $70. So that's what I'm saying. Buying KASPA today, if all of these things line up, and it does work out, and this I'm getting excited right now because I believe it is actually possible, then this is like buying Bitcoin at $70.59. All right, guys, I'm gonna leave you with this one. I'm excited. I'm gonna dig in more. I'll probably do a follow-up video. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions below. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I will catch you guys in the next one. See you later. Bye-bye.